the Morven Lounge in Springburn. My name is Ryan Clifford and I'm joined by my good man, Mr. Alan Stirling. Well, you seen us two yesterday talking about obviously the prices of Scottish football at Celtic, season books, home cup ticket scheme. So there's loads more to chat about today, Alan. Something we've not really touched on since the game at the weekend is the injuries situation. Will it impact players getting more game time, or does it just mean that it's giving them a bit more rest as well? So, what's your thoughts on that, mate? That's basically the topic of today. But how are you, mate? And the sun is shining in Glasgow.
Very well. It's a wee bit more cloudy than yesterday, but very good for Glasgow. Hope you're well. Hope everyone that's watching's well. Aye, we're at the business end of the season. Obviously, we've wrapped up the league title. There is a couple of injury concerns ahead of our next few games leading up to the cup final. So, aye, we can dig into that, and yeah, it's about ticking boxes now and just kind of keeping up our performance levels. I think until we reach that kind of that the day of the cup final, we'd like to get in that game where in a good vein of form, shall we say. You don't want to be getting in with kind of performances that we've seen sometimes in the season that we're not quite kind of keeping up to our capabilities. We're not quite reaching our potential performance level, shall we say. So, yeah, here's hoping we can start putting some performances together and get a bit of confidence behind us for ahead of the League Cup final.
Hail, hail, Scott Melville. Hope you're well,
Aye.
mate. We will call him. Just let
Well,
us know, Scott, if the sound's okay. Just to let us know, mate. But hope you're very well. Aye, I think, Alan, it's good to delve into some of the injury situation. Obviously, we don't know how properly serious they are. I know by Brendan he says a few weeks for Johnson and Carter Vickers. I think probably a good one to start with Nicholas Khun. Obviously didn't play a derby game. He only trained I think before the game. I actually thought he might have played because you know what managers are like. They'll do sound fine, brilliant, mate. He says that sometimes it's how do you call it, a bluff. Or they're injured and they might be all right, they might not be, but the sounds that Nicholas Kuhn wasn't okay. I thought he would have been ideal for the game. Looking back now in hindsight, if him and Jota played, I think we probably could have and would have won the game a bit more comfortably. I know we didn't win the game, but I think we'd have won the game quite comfortably in the second half, especially with A2 going forward. I mean, direct, even though I thought Forest did play well, to be fair. But do you think that might impact the rest of the season? Or do you think it's maybe a good time to give him a bit of a rest and no rush him for the cup final?
Aye, it's a hard decision to make because you want to make sure that your players are fit for the cup final, but just saying, oh, we'll rest them until then. I don't think Brendan's that type of manager because he wants his players to continue to kind of get game time and make sure they're fit, firing and ready, confident as well going into this cup final. I think that's probably the key. So you don't want to make kind of loads and loads and loads of changes over the next kind of the last few league games, shall we say. I think you need that kind of continuity in your team as well. I think that you want to get into these games basically rule about where you want to be in the cup final. I could see maybe a couple of changes. Obviously, there'll be enforced changes as well with the couple of injury doubts. Brendan saying, we just read there, Brendan saying that both of them should be back for the last game of the season, the league season, the St Mirren game. So that gives them a wee bit of game time, even if they get just a half, like first half of football or 60 minutes or such. Beds them back into the team before the cup final because I think all eyes are leaning towards that cup final. So I could probably see a few changes at the weekend coming. I don't think there'll be kind of every position will be changed, but I think you could maybe see 3 or 4 changes within the first 11, just to kind of mix it up a bit. Maybe players that haven't been getting as much game time. You're looking at Yang's come on and done relatively decent. I think he's probably one of the players that might come in and kind of you'll see him play a wee bit more in the last few league games. But I'll be very interested to see. But here's hoping apart from Jota, well, Casper might be back as well, but apart from Jota, as we stand just now, we're going to have a kind of what a fit squad for the cup final. So Brendan will just be wanting to kind of ease us into that and make sure we give ourselves the best kind of possibility of lifting that trophy.
Aye, I think that's it, Alan. I think it's given us the best chance to go and win the treble. I know a lot of people might say, well, a lot of people outside of Celtic might think that it's a gimme. And they might think, oh, Aberdeen are just going to turn up, try their best, but Celtic were too good. And listen, that could be the case, but you can't go into any cup final thinking it's a gimme, no matter how good you've been during the league or how well you've done in recent games against Aberdeen. Obviously, the semi-final last year, so I say, for one of the cups this year, 6-0 or so, and I was at that game and we were brilliant. Yeah. There was a big hype about that game, and could Aberdeen finish second in the league, and could they go on and win something this year? Listen, they might still do, but I think that was a pretty good statement for Celtic that day, just to say, listen, look, Aberdeen on our day might be able to beat us on a one-off occasion, but for that day I thought we blew them out of the water, mate, and I was really impressed with us that day. Don't get me wrong, the first 5-10 minutes Aberdeen could have been 1-0 up, but after that we get the first goal and Aberdeen were away, absolute away phase, and Celtic were in kind of out of sight, shall we call it. So, but I think in terms of that into the cup final, it's good to give guys a wee bit of break as well, get them fully charged, one last effort of the season. Nicholas Khun, I think if he's fit, he plays in the cup final, because I know his form has been in and out the last 4 or 5 months, but you've seen it at Tannadice what he can do. Maybe he's really good against United, and he got his 2 goals as well. So I think in terms of Nicholas Khun, I think if he's fit, he's probably going to play. Who's that going to be? Will it be Forrest? Will it be Maeda? Will he continue to play Adamida? But obviously the game of the weekend, Hibs, you mentioned Trusty might come back in for Vickers. Will Nerofsky come in and get game time? Who knows? But that gives one of the two another chance to, don't want to say, well, you could say prove himself, but gives him a chance to get more minutes and show the manager what he can do depending on who it is it plays.
Aye, I don't think you've many options at the back. You've seen kind of Trusty's been frozen out recently, whereas kind of a large part of the season he's been the one that's been kind of playing next to Carter Vickers. So I think Austin Trusty's he might have a bit to prove. He might, if he gets the nod to come in, I think that he might have a bit to prove. When just touching upon what you say about kind of Aberdeen as well, we did kind of give him a good scalping in that cup game, but I can remember was it a week or two before that, the 2 each game at Celtic Park, and if my mind serves me right, I think they had a goal chopped off that was maybe a bit harsh, to be honest. So I think Aberdeen kind of fell off a cliff as well. Obviously, that cup game, Celtic kind of turned up to their optimum. That's probably one of the best we've seen Celtic play. So it's a combination of both. But we need to be fully prepared for that cup game. We need to make sure that we're on song, because, as you say, Aberdeen on their day, we've seen it before. They can be a very tough nut to crack, and a decent side in regards to Scottish football. So we looked at the weekend. I would say that Trusty comes in. I know that we've been reasonably happy with how Nerofsky's done, but for whatever reason it may be, I just don't think that Brendan is a fan of Mike Nerofsky. I think that's been further solidified by when he was quoted saying that Dane Murray was out for the Rangers game, wasn't it? Dane Murray was out for the Rangers game, so I think
the one at Celtic Park.
Yeah, so I think it would have been the case that Nerofsky would have got the kind of starting that if Dane Murray was. That's the way it sounded. So for Brendan to kind of say that, I think it's clear to see that he's not, for whatever reason it may be, Brendan's not a fan of Mike Nerofsky. Probably think we might see him leaving, whether it be on loan or permanently in the summer. I'm not being too critical on him. I think he's done reasonably well when he's come in. There was a couple of wee dodgy parts. further back before the last couple of games they played, but no one's perfect. But we'll just see what happens. For me, I would be thinking that it would be kind of Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, barring any further injuries. So there's got a few comments here. John Burley. Oh, that's not sure. That's John Shirley, isn't it? Oh, morning. Parkade
Morning,
boy.
John.
Hail, hail. What you drinking? Hard stuff.
Fresh Horns lemonade, no booze.
It's only Madury.
I've told you on Monday, lads, I'm off it. I'm well off the booze.
James Kennedy, morning Ryan and Alan.
Morning, mate.
James. Plunge, McNugget, morning boys, boss missing a kill. Man, no bossy enough for you, Plunge. Come on, I can boss you about all you want. Morning Plunge. Parkhead boy. Is that a pint of orange juice?
It is, pint of fresh Horns lemonade, Parkhead boy.
Plunge again. That's what the boss usually drinks. Ryan must think he's the boss now.
What do you mean, must think?
I know. I don't know where you're getting this part of here about our good man JP. It's a partnership. He just likes to talk a lot. But that's just what. All best to JP, so we're a wee bit under the weather.
I know I seen a few comments the other day asking where he was. He's just a bit unwell at the moment. He will be back with us hopefully very soon, but he's just resting up now, taking some care of himself. He'll be back very soon. It's not really a place to tell you exactly what's going on. JP will obviously, he'll probably let us all know when he's back. But just to let you know, he's a bit under the weather at the moment. But he's getting back to health at the moment, so hopefully he'll be back very, very soon. But
I need to listen to him again.
No, hopefully he gets
much love.
Get better very soon, big man. I think you're right about Nerowski. I'm not saying I'm a fan of Marlon, but I've not seen him doing something apart from the people might think I'm silly here, right? But I think it was against, what game was it? It was after the Rangers game. Was it Dundee? I think it was Dundee. Was it Dundee? And he had one or two fresh air kicks, right? But apart from that, he won everything in there again. He was always playing the ball forward. He does look a wee bit rigid, shall I call it. So I don't think he's that bad. I'm not saying he's Maldini. I'm not saying he's going to be the next best thing. I'm not saying he's good as Carter Vickers, nothing like that. But I just feel by what I've seen from him, it seems like to me he's been a bit harshly treated. Somewhat with Lager Bielka. Apart from one instance in Feyenoord, I've not seen Lager Bielka been terrible. I've not seen him been bad. Is it an attitude issue with two of them? Is it fitness issues? Or is it the fact that they just don't suit his style of play and he wants ball playing centre backs? I don't know. That's obviously Brendan. He's the man in the job. He's the man in the hot seat. But we can only go by what we see, and the fact that they're not getting fancied and no played and Lager's away out on loan, it probably tells you they're no fancied, because 9 times out of 10, if you're shipped out on loan and you're an experienced-ish player, you're probably not going to be playing. You're probably getting shipped out to do well so the club can sell you. Mikey Johnson done it, came back and he was given a chance, injured again, went to West Brom, and that's obviously the situation with that. So, but on Nerowski, Alan, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think he's done anything ridiculously wrong. I think he's able enough to go and play against your St Mirren and your Dundee and your Hibs, but at Celtic, on the other hand, is that just okay to come in and play against it again? Because you want to play against your Bayern Munich and even Derby games, but he showed it against Rangers at Celtic Park that he was able. He won everything in the air. I thought he was the best defender that day, considering the team didn't play well. But I'm going to go with you. I do think it'll be Thursday and Saturday. I think Brendan brought him for a reason. I think if he brushes up his physicality, then I think you might have a guy there that could be a staple with Carter Vickers. But just by what we've seen so far, I think me and you spoke with it, and JP spoke with it as well. But I think probably, in my opinion, a top draw centre back in the summer's a priority.
Yeah, I think we've not seen a great deal wrong with what we've seen in Nerowski, but at the end of the day, all Lager Bielka, I wasn't too keen to look at Lager Bielka, if I'm being honest. But Brendan's seen these guys, well, before they were at loan, he's seen these guys kind of do.
He sees skills every day, but still plays them.
Well, he's seen some, but it is showing. I thought when we were seeing
Aye,
it,
that's a joke about him being in the cupboard, don't worry about it.
we were seeing the good parts of Austin Trusty. We thought, right, we've got a player here that could be the one that partners Carter Vickers, but there has been a few weaknesses that we've seen come into his game. I think the last place that you want to show kind of weakness is in Scottish football, because it can be kind of more physical than most kind of regions of the game. Uh, I think how indecisive kind of Brendan is between kind of this season between the likes of Trusty, Scales, and kind of less than often with Narowski. So he's struggling to kind of find that one guy that he wants to continue to partner Carter Vickers. Does he think any of them are up to that level to kind of partner Carter Vickers? Does he want kind of better to come in? I'd probably agree that he wants better to come in. I think that is an area of the park that I'd probably be looking to improve. Whether Trusty kind of steps up to, I think when all of them have been playing their best, I would probably say Trusty is the best out of them all. I think probably the most consistent, but maybe no the best level of his game would be Liam Scales. I think Scales is usually that 6 or 7 out of 10 most times. I think Trusty's shown that at the top of his game he's probably got the capabilities to partner Carter Vickers, but he's not shown it often enough, shall we say. So as it stands just now, I think Brendan will probably be looking at kind of bringing in another centre half, whether that is at Narowski and kind of like a Belka moving on. I'd probably say that's likely to happen. So I think we're probably still looking for that elusive kind of centre half that's going to get week in, week out be partnering Carter Vickers. It's no weird budgets when you're looking for that player that could come in and kind of massively contribute. It's going to be difficult to kind of find that player. Maybe it is a wee bit of hit and miss, because we have spent decent money on the likes of kind of Lagerbielke and Narowski, and closer to his kind of Trusty as well. So we can always see what happens. As I say, Scales is a very decent squad player for me. I just think that you're stepping up to that level. I think you can see the difference between the quality and kind of Carter Vickers and the quality of Liam Scales. For me, I think probably in an ideal world, and what Brendan be looking for, is to have somebody a similar level qualities as Carter Vickers. Whether that's achievable or not, only time will tell, but I think that'll be the aim in the summer, is to improve the squad and to bring in somebody at the centre half position that you know is going to be having Carter Vickers. See if Trusty steps up to that, but only time will tell, lads.
Aye, I think Trusty, another season, hopefully under Brendan, he'll develop and he'll be better. I know he's experienced in terms of playing the Premier League, he's playing with the USA, so I don't mean develop in terms of develop as in him as a player, I just mean certain parts of his game, i.e. the physicality, if that means more work at pre-season in the gym or whatever Brendan's got under his bonnet for him to do to get better. He'll know exactly what he wants for certain guys to progress and get better. But I think in terms of, I think it's a good point you mentioned. Obviously, we spent, just say roughly about £8 million in the Rovsky and Lagerbielke. I think it was quite telling after that window. Obviously, the recruitment team basically got squashed. Some guys left. That probably tells you right away Brendan wasn't happy from it. But me personally, I don't know what you feel about it, or any of the viewers would like to comment as well what your opinions on this. Sometimes I would rather, instead of spending £8 million on 2 players, I know it might be a gamble. Any signing can be a gamble. But if you do your due diligence and you look at everything properly, and the guy who you're signing is going to be doing well previously with the previous club, 9 times out of 10 they're probably going to be good for you because they've just come off a good spell. I would rather go and spend £8 million in a brilliant centre back if we can get them. That is obviously Celtic, Scotland, I get it. They might even be waiting, but sometimes Celtic do a lot of time they might stick with the back four they've got the now. Nerowski, Scales, Vickers and Trusty. Try and get through the playoff, and then if they get that, then they can go to somebody. Just say it was Van Dijk. Last time most of them got to sign Van Dijk, but just say a player. Just say I'm just saying Van Dijk from the top of my head. Just say Van Dijk, right? We're now qualified for the format. We've got these 8 big games. You're going to have Derby. It's a wee different carrot to get maybe players, but for me, I want it the opposite. I want them to get players in as soon as possible, as quick as they can. I like to think that's been done now. It's already in the process. I would rather go and spend the £8 million to vote for they 2 players, who I don't think Nerowski's been bad. It's Lagerbielke. I don't think they've been really bad to say get out the team. You're not good enough because they've not played enough for us to judge them fully. In my opinion, other fans might say different, but the biggest opinion is a manager. He's not playing them. He shipped Lager out on loan, which obviously means he doesn't fancy him. But then he's playing with 20 and now he's cap with Sweden again. Now Sweden might not be the force of old, but Sweden don't call you up if you're Schalke or Dugby. When he signed for Celtic, he was playing in front of Starfield for Sweden, so he's obviously got some sort of ability, but maybe it's just not Celtic. Listen, Alan, you've a bit older than me, you've seen players come and go. Some guys come to here who are good players, and they just, for whatever reason, just doesn't happen for them. But I would rather sign somebody who's at £8 million. You're probably going to come into a team like a Carter Vickers and play than buy 2 players that one might and then one might not turn out to be the best. I'd rather have 2 solid centre backs and then maybe if it's a Trusty or a Scales in the back burner to come in and play.
No, definitely. Completely agree, and I think I say it a lot, it's imperative that this transfer window is absolutely spot on. I think I've said that a number of times over the last kind of year or so, but when's the last time a transfer window was a success?
Plunge says we need 2 centre backs, keep Trusty and get rid of the rest.
But when's the last time you look at the team at the weekend there? Like, most of that, who's Brendan Silence there? Who really? Like, Engels isn't exactly setting the world alight just now. Ida, there's a lot of kind of criticism about him. Apart from that, who you looking at there? Who is?
It's not his sign, is it?
What? None of them?
It's all Andrew's.
Oh, Andrew's team. And that is now Brendan been here.
Well, Sinisalo, that's it.
Yeah, that's 4 transfer windows at
So
Brendan's here.
Sinisalo, Ida and Engels.
So outfield players.
3.
You're looking at
3
Engels,
starting the Derby game.
So Engels and Ida that are questionable, shall we say, just now. So is the recruitment team doing right here? We're saying this for a long time, but we are still relying on the players that were maybe here kind of 4 years ago. And it's week in, week out. It's going back to Scales instead of kind of Trusty or Nerowski or Lagerbielke.
And it seems that now he's put Taylor back in the team as well. LGF
aye, Taylor back in the team instead of Sloop. You're looking at kind of Forrest is coming back in. And these are all players that have been here for a number of years. So we need to get a transfer window right. But I'm not saying that these players, even bringing back Jota, Jota was one of Andrew's players as well. You're looking at that, it's broke back, but if that relationship between Jota and Celtic was there, would the board or Brendan brought back and broke there at that point? So
I don't think Jota, if Jota wasn't at Celtic before, we probably couldn't have gotten back. I don't think he would have came back because it's one of the ones, he's been here, he knows what it's all about. He obviously loved his time here, and when he went to Saudi and then he went to the end, he thought, I need to go somewhere where I'm loved, and obviously Celtic came calling, and no, I think majority of fans would say the same.
Marlon Webby. Plunge, I'm saying kind of outfield players, right? You Joe Hart there was going to retire, so Schmeichel has been a good signing, but in outfield players, over 4 transfer windows, is it enough that we've got maybe 1 or 2 Brendan signings that are there as kind of first choice? I don't know. I don't want to be too critical because they're all kind of very good footballers. There's no doubt. I think that the likes of kind of Arlie Engels, I think he's got massive ability. He will kind of prove any doubters right. I think he will come good. But you're looking across that team that starts kind of the majority of the time, and it is dominated by players that have been here for a number of years. And I've said this a few times, that transfer window wasn't great. You're looking at the players when they brought in. So I'm just, that's in the past. That's been in the past. So let's hope that this upcoming window that we're better prepared, that we know what positions we're looking for, who we're looking for. We've done our due diligence, we've done our homework, and we get these guys in early to bed in because of how important this Champions League playoff qualifier is going to be. I don't think we're asking for miracles. A lot of teams kind of do their business early. A lot of teams have got the backroom staff that can kind of prepare, and the scouting staff that look at these players so that they're ready to come in and kind of hit the ground running. For me, when you look back on the last few transfer windows of Brendan's tenure, has it been effective as it maybe should be? I'd probably say no as effective, because as we keep seeing, they're still reverting back to the majority of players that were there before Brendan's arrived. So I think that's probably no kind of Brendan's fault, because Brendan's kind of been offered players for, whether it be recruitment team or whoever it is, the hierarchy behind the scenes. He's given players to work with, but I think that this one we probably need a good few players that are going to come in and kind of make that impact, to make these signings kind of number one picks, etc. So it's just we're trying to be positive, leaning towards a summer transfer window, because I think that we need to get this one right, especially because we've got a very, very important European qualifier coming up pretty early doors.
I think the playoff, obviously we'll touch on that in the summer, but that's for me, it's a massive thing for us, because I did mention it, I think me and you spoke about it yesterday, and we spoke about it on Monday with JP, that for us to progress as a club, and if we want to keep spending big fees and get big players in, we need to win the biggest competitions, and that's the Champions League. So we need to win this format. I'm not saying going through loads of money at players for the playoff, but I do believe we need a few players. Could we get one or two players that play for the next few games that could be good next season, i.e. Yang? For me, he splits opinions. Some fans like him, some fans think he's done well off the bench. He deserves a chance. But for me, I think he might have something. But is it good enough to play with Celtic longer term? I don't know. I'm only going for me. I think he's good off the bench. The last few games he started, he's not really done much. His end product's no money, but when he's off the bench, I think because he's fresh, go make an impact. Some players that, listen, I played the players like that myself when I was younger. Guys who were actually better off the bench than starting, but could
But
he
Celtic,
be?
that's no good
No,
enough.
it's no. So, but do you think he could? I'm not want to say pave his way into next season now, but do you think he could get a chance in the next few games because Jota's injury, and whether or not he plays either or Maida up front? Forrest, I think for me, Forrest is going to continue the rest of the season. I thought he was really good at the weekend there, albeit we do the game, but he was direct, he was involved in the play, he was trying things, he was trying to get the play up, he was trying to go forward. So I think, let's say it was last year, running into the season, into the cup final, I think Forrest might play a lot more than people think. But do you think Yang could potentially get a few more minutes to end the season?
I think he will get more time. Only time will tell, but whether he'll be successful or not. But he has had a number of chances that he's started games, and he's looked pretty non-existent at the times. He has come off the bench, but at the end of the day, we can't afford to have players in our squad, our first 11, that I'm only decent off the bench. Players at Celtic need to be consistently playing rather well. It doesn't mean every game that these players need to be like 10s out of 10, but in the club we're at, we need players that are consistently playing at a high level. Whether Yang's been doing that consistently enough, I'd probably say not. But there has been flashes that he's looked as if he has got something, but nowhere near enough for what we require. Just a few wee comments. I've got P. McLaughlin, Jay Stansfield. I doubt that'll happen.
The Birmingham striker.
They paid 9 million for him last year. Now they've been promoted to the Championship, so I think you'd be talking probably
Double that.
But that boy would be out with their kind of their pay limit. Josh Brownhill, that one's been kind of put about
We
quite a
could touch on
lot.
him, aye. We could touch on that, aye.
Walfred and Didi would be a very good start to the summer. I think the last two you looked at, they've been kind of reported quite a lot, and I think they're kind of similar types of players. But I think if we're going to bring it, they're kind of defensive midfielders, the two of them, really.
Well, Josh Brownhill recently, I think he's been actually doing really well for Burnley. He got injured for a wee bit,
But
but
they're similar types,
I
aren't they,
will. I know when I used to watch a lot of obviously Burnley in the Premier League stuff, he was more defensive. But this year with Burnley, he looks like he's been attacking. I think he's got 18 goals for Burnley this year in the Championship, which for me is decent for midfield. Very good for midfield. Whether or not he wants to stay at Burnley, I know he's out of contract. I'm sure he's out of contract this summer. Whether or not he's going to stay in the Premier League with Burnley, I don't know. There's rumours on social media and certain websites about a pre-contract with Celtic. There was rumours when about January time about him as well. So one thing I'll give Josh Brownhill is he likes a tackle. He's very aggressive when he tackles. We are missing that. I think if somebody says to you, look, you're going to get a guy who's going to go to the Premier League, he scored 18 goals, he's got a bit of nastiness about him, he's aggressive, he likes to play on the front foot in terms of this season going to score goals and assists. He's a captain of his team. 29-year-old, free transfer. I think the majority of fans would go, do you know what? That's a decent signing.
I know he's got a decent pedigree where he's played football. I think most of the players that are playing at that level can come up and do a job. And when you're saying he's kind of captain,
well, we signed Austin Trusty for 6 and he was in the Championship. Will we get relegated?
I know. So I think Brendan's kind of seen. He's probably seen the last two anyway, kind of up close and personal. If he's the one that's initiating these kind of deals, then you've got to trust in Brendan's judgment. But only time will tell. But I think that we do need. I'm not saying a massive turnaround, but I think this is one of these summers that there might be quite a bit of business that's done. I think Brendan's kind of says it quite often, talking about kind of 5-6 players, etc. And I think these are players that he wants directly to come in to at least challenge, at the very, very least challenge for a starting place. You're looking at the Norrie boy, Kearney, morning comrades, Hill.
Morning, mate.
Hill. Peter Gotland, Gary Hooper, good example. Joe Ledley. You look more recent as well when you're looking at somebody that came out of kind of League One was Matt O'Reilly. So
see, that's another thing as well, right? I'll let you touch on this. You've made a good point. I've seen it on social media, right? People are getting Engels fat, right? It's probably because he's either the same, right? It could be because of price tags, right? But when Matt O'Reilly signed, Matt O'Reilly wasn't playing the left. Matt O'Reilly, because he was a low transfer fee, we were all going, oh, what a player, what a brilliant. But see, if Matt O'Reilly in his first season was Engels money, people would have given Matt O'Reilly slack because he wasn't fantastic his first year. Also, Matt O'Reilly, Aaron Moy we kept in the team, who was signed a free transfer, who was 33, 32. So Matt O'Reilly wasn't getting a lot of stick because of the low transfer fee and because he was doing okay.
it's low risk with that.
Right, but on the other hand, with Engels, what if Engels is the same next year? Well, better next year. Well, I've put my neck on anybody who watches this podcast knows me personally. I think Engels is a good player. I think there's a basis for him to go. He's got a high ceiling, and I still stick by that. I think he'll make sell at a lot of money. I think he'll sell on for a big profit in the future. Brennan's already spoke about. Listen, he's a young guy. He's coming here to develop. I think with the right coaching, I think he'll next year be a massive player for us.
I think he's got ability. I think some of the criticism might be merited because of his consistency, but he is still a young boy.
I thought the slander he got after the weekend's game was bang out of order.
No, there's some that are way too much, but I think if we're being realistic, that he's for the type of player, not even the money. I think we've seen the ability that he's got. So when you see that standard that a player can reach, and then that they're not consistently reaching that standard, that would be the road I'd be going down. We need a player in that midfield that is going to give us a similar level of ability than the likes of kind of Matt O'Reilly did, say for standard. Engels showed early on that he was capable of that. As of late, showed it dribs and drabs. I still think that he's got ability, but I think he will be questioned next season. I think he'll have a full pre-season under his belt. I think that he'll be expected to kind of hit the ground running, and I think we'll maybe at the end of this year, the end of this kind of calendar year, I think that's when a lot of judgment will be placed on Arne Engels. Give him 6 months, start the season, etc. Let's see how he kicks on. But I think obviously with the transfer fee is important as well. But the level that we know that we've seen that he can provide, he needs to do that more often for me. When you look at there's other ones that are questionable with the fee with Adamida, you know my thoughts on kind of Adamida. It's just as when you look at somebody's mentioned Gary Hooper, when you look at the strikers that Celtic's had over the last number of years, this has nothing to do with the money that was spent on Adamida. You look at the strikers that Celtic's had over the number of years, that's consistently, you look through Hooper, Griffiths, Dembele, Edward, Kyogo, Maida,
Stokes was alright, he was alright.
Right, you just mentioned 6 strikers there. Some of them cost peanuts, right? Some of them was a bit more expensive when you look at regards to Edward, right? But I don't mean that anywhere near the quality of the ones that you just mentioned there.
See, now, I've been pretty critical of either, right? But on the other side of it, listen, there's two sides to every opinion. See if Brendan Rodgers just wants him to score goals. This year, when he looks at it, he's done it right, and his ratio to games to goals, pretty good. I don't know the actual ratio, but for 19 goals so far for a guy who's only played 2 of 3 90 minutes, that's good going.
You've answered your own question there. If Brendan wanted him to just score goals, then he'd be playing games.
No, listen,
and he's not,
I think Alan,
good enough.
Players are always going to have opinions. People love Greg Taylor. Some fans think no. Some fans think Vickers should be gone because he's injury prone. Some fans think like me, he's a colossus and he's a must not sell unless it's fucking top dollar and we've got a replacement to come in. So fans are always going to split opinions, but I think at the weekend, Hibs again, I'd imagine either will probably play. I'm agreeing with you. I think Scales will come in with Trusty. I think Forrest will continue to play. I would
just get your team lined up
if you want. Aye. Well, talk about teams. Sonny Salah, I think will continue. I think Tony. I think Tony will play right back. It'll be Scales and Trusty. I think Taylor will play again. I think the midfield will be a bit different. I think it will be Hatate, Bernardo and McGregor. I think Engels will have a wee seat on the bench. No because his form's that, just because I think Bernardo done well when he came on. And I think he deserves a run in the team. I thought he was good when he came on. He was good in the ball, he was aggressive. He stopped Raskin playing when he came on as well. So I think Bernardo deserves a chance. I like Bernardo. I think he's a top player. I think he's still young enough to develop and get better. So Bernardo for me. And I don't think Maeda will play. I think he'll be on the bench. He came back for obviously Japan. Obviously he's not really trained much last week. I think now is about no winding down, but it's maybe resting some guys if we can for the final. So I'm going to go with Yang, Forrest and Adamida.
I'm pretty similar. I was thinking about the Bernardo. It's just a slight differences. I think it will be Sinisalo. I think it will be Anthony Ralston, Austin Trusty, Will Scales. I think Schlupp might come back in. I think the midfield will be Cal McGregor, Real Hatate and Paulo Bernardo. Engels will sit out. I think Maida will play up front. I don't think he'll play. And I think it'll be Yang and James Forrest. So it'll be Forrest, Yang and Maida through the middle.
I think James Forrest it just shows as well about experience because out injured for a while there and he's come back, and to be fair to Forrest, he looks like he's not been injured. Yeah. It's not like he's had to come in and get game time to get up to scratch. I thought at the weekend he was really good, so even though he's 33 coming over 34, I personally don't think he'll play much next season. I think he's got 1 year left. I think he will be used more as a sub, and and the changing room experience, he'll still be a player to come off the bench and possibly play the odd game next year. But I think it just shows you Alan that experience can be counted on, especially running into the season.
Aye, no, definitely. I'll just be interested to see if any of our lineups are correct. But I think this is one of these weeks as well that Brendan could surprise us all with a few. I've just seen another one, McCowan maybe. But it'll be interesting to see. As I say, we've obviously wrapped up the league, but yeah, I think these games are quite important with confidence and kind of playing well with the lead up to this League Cup, to this Scottish Cup final. So I would still like us to play kind of relatively strong start 11s. If we are up by a few, then maybe a chance for the likes of kind of Jude Bonner, etc. to come on and get some minutes. But aye, look forward to the weekend.
That's something we could touch on just before we go, Alan. Obviously, the young players. Surely now it's a chance to get some of them on the bench, get some game time. Johnny Kenny is another guy. I thought he'd done okay when he came on off the bench. Maeda could have set him up for life if he scored that, squared him. But could he get game time at the weekend off the bench? Could he start against Aberdeen? Could he start against St Mirren? I think maybe some of the guys like that could get a bit of game time. I think they're probably due Alan in terms of, we moan about no seeing young players. The Scottish thing is, young players are not good enough to play with Celtic. When do you play them? How do they get development? The last few games of the season surely is a time to bed them in.
Aye, it all depends with Johnny Kelly. I don't think we're seeing quite enough to make a proper judgment on him. We're seeing kind of a few minutes here and there. I think whether he gets game time or not, I think he probably gets some. But whether he gets game time or not, that depends on Brendan's thoughts on him. Has he got a future at Celtic? That question is still yet to be answered. Say the fans haven't seen enough. Brendan hasn't seen enough to think that he's going to kind of get a reasonable amount of game time. So the next few games will be interesting to see if he contributes. I've got a funny feeling that we'll still probably see less of Johnny Kenny as well. I think that we as well we having kind of Adamida as the recognised striker, obviously Maida's come in and made that position his own, whether probably that wasn't Brendan's preferred position of playing Maida. So we all thought in January he probably would have seen more of Johnny Kenny. That's not materialised, so for me that probably tells you that he's maybe low up to the level that Brendan requires. These next 3 games could prove me wrong, but as I say, only time will tell, and we'll see how it pans out.
Aye, I think you're right on Johnny Kenny, Alan. I think if Brendan thought he was good enough to come in and play more, probably would have, because there's been games where he might have been useful. I just found it weird that he mentioned about how he's improved physically, his finishing's improving, and then he says, but yet he can't go on the bench. So I don't know what you think about that man, because he's praising them, but then
trying to be complimentary to the players.
I'm probably same as you. I'd imagine I don't know how long he's going to contract. To be honest, we'll need to go and look at that, but I'd imagine they might be given a pre-season, or he may be back out on loan. But I do think the last 3 games of the season, some guys like him could get game time, and I think they're probably due it to show us, because we can't, like you say, we can't judge any young player, because we don't get to see the B team unless we go to the games, and a lot is kind of due to work commitments and family. So
I think for certain, if he doesn't get any game time, then it's games are bogey at Celtic.
Probably.
Even if he does get game time, I think it'd be hard to see his kind of Celtic career kind of go forward. But these things kind of happen. Something you look at Liam Scales as well. Nobody was expecting him to
go back in and play.
Have any kind of Celtic career, but so all the time will tell. But I think it'll probably say a lot to see how much game time he gets in the next 3 league games. And if he doesn't feature a lot, I think you could probably make your own mind up about Brendan's opinion on him for that.
I think that's the thing, Alan. I think as much as we want to see players, I think they're all right, and we praise them or we criticise them. The main thing is the manager, if he's not playing them, there's probably a reason behind it. Either not good enough, or it's attitude, or fitness, or whatever it is, or the effort at training. We don't know the reasons behind it. But if somebody's not playing consistently or playing much at all, it probably means, in my opinion, the manager's no a fan of him.
Just what Punch saying there, there's no point. There's no point in playing our best players like Dyson, give the guy a break. I see points like that, but I think when we've got a massive, see if we were in the cup final, I would totally agree with you. I said, but
in a way, you want to keep them going.
You want to keep them playing, keep that continuity, keep that the levels up, the game time up. You manage them more. It's no a case of just give them a rest. You manage them more, whether that be you give them a half, or one day he's on the bench, you bring him on for a half or 30 minutes, give him 60 minutes, etc. I'd agree that you manage these players so that they make the cup final, but for resting them altogether, it's just no for me. I think that they still need to, the next few games, you want to gain that confidence, gain that continuity, so that we're getting into this cup final fit, firing and ready to go. And when you start kind of resting too many players, you lose that continuity. So it's a balance in that, but for me, I would try and low change too much, shall we say. And there is going to be a few changes, but I wouldn't make wholesale changes before that, because I'd still like to see us kind of continue playing well before the cup final, so that we're getting in there kind of ready for whatever Aberdeen have to offer.
No, I think you're right there, Alan. I can get Pongy's point. I totally get it. Because you don't want any injuries or any hamstring pulls or maybe Vickers, etc. So, but I think it's good to keep them going in some capacity. If it's half a bench, 20 minutes here and there, but it still gets the legs moving. It still keeps the confidence. It might get a goal. It could help them. So, no, I'm agreeing on that. But once again, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to YouTube, and please like this stream. It helps us get out there and it helps the channel. We're on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Myself, Alan, JP and Barry Bannon. We're on all social media platforms, so if you do want to reach out with us, maybe no Baz is off Twitter at the moment, due to obviously the off season now, but myself, Alan and JP, we're on Twitter and Facebook and everything else. DMs are always open. If it's about Celtic, anything else, we'll have a wee chat with you. But
just a big thank you for the morven again. That's where we're recording the morven at Edgefield Road in Springburn. So yeah, thank you for the hospitality.
It's a cracking pint of fresh on and lemonade.
It's a cracking pint of lager. I know we've been in before with the live events.
But yeah, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support for the season so far. Hopefully you continue to support us. The more support we get, the more content like this and other people like the guests we've done in the past. Hopefully we'll get more of them coming up. But thanks again for tuning in on this Thursday morning. We will be back probably Monday for the dial-in as usual. Circumstances we can't do tomorrow, so that's why we're doing today. But we'll see you all very soon, and a big hail from me.
Hail.
And I'll see you all soon.